Dear students, welcome to the live section on fifth subject of your curriculum, that is OR, which means Operations Research. Myself, this is Srinidhi, working as Assistant Professor in K.G.R.L College at Bhimavaram. Now we look into the introduction of Operations Research. The British or Europeans refer to this as Operational Research. The Americans refers to this as Operations Research. But both are shortened to just OR. Another terms which is used for this field is Management Science, MS, Industrial Engineering, IE, and Decision Science, DS. In recent years, standard term for this field is OR. Operation Research is a relatively new discipline. The contents and the boundaries of the operations research are not yet fixed. Therefore, to give a formal definition of the term operations research is a difficult task. The operations research starts when mathematical and quantitative techniques are used to substantiate the decision being taken. The main activity of a manager is a decision making. In our daily life, we make the decisions even without noticing them. The decisions are taken simply by common sense, judgment, and expertise without using any mathematical or any other model in simple situations. But the decision we are concerned here with are complex and heavily responsible. Now, definition of operations research. As earlier we said that operations research is a relatively new discipline. The contents and the boundaries of the operations research are not yet fixed. Therefore, to give a formal definition of term operations research is difficult task. Now we look into some of the definitions of operations research. Operations research is a scientific method of providing executive departments with a quantitative basis for decisions regarding the operations under their control. Another one is, according to the OR Society of America, operations research is concerned with scientifically deciding how best to design and operate man-machine systems, usually under conditions requiring the allocation of scarce resources. According to the H.M. Warner, operation research is a scientific approach to problem solving for executive management. Another definition for OR is application of scientific method by interdisciplinary terms to problems involving the control of organized systems so as to provide solution which best serve the purpose of the organization as a whole. Another definition for operations research is an aid for the executive in making his decision by providing him with the needed quantitative information based on the scientific method of analysis. Another and last definition for OR is operations research in the most general sense can be categorized as the application of scientific methods, techniques, and tools to problem involving the operations of systems so as provide those in control of the operation with optimum solution to the problems. These are the definitions for operations research. Now, what is the nature of operations research? In its recent years of organized development, OR has solved successfully many cases of research for military, the government, and industry. The basic problem in most of the developing countries in Asia and Africa is to remove poverty and hunger as quickly as possible. So there is a great scope for economists, statisticians, administrators, politicians, and technicians working in a team to solve this problem by an OR approach. On the other hand, with the explosion of population and consequent shortage of food, every country is facing the problem of optimal allocation of land for various crops in accordance with climatic conditions and available facilities. The problem of optimal distribution of water from a resource like a canal for irrigation purpose is faced by developing country. Hence, a good amount of scientific work can be done in the direction. In this field of industrial engineering, there is a claim of problems starting from the procurement of material to the dispatch of finished products. Management is always interested in optimizing profits. Hence, in order to provide decision on scientific basis, our study team considers various alternative methods and their effects on existing system. The overall approach is equally useful for the economists, administrators, planners, irrigation or agriculture experts and statisticians, etc. Our study is a complete only when we also consider human factor to the alternatives made available. Operations research is done by a team of scientists or experts from different related disciplines. For example, for solving a problem related to the inventory management, our team must include an engineer who knows about stores and material management, a cost accountant, a mathematician cum statistician. For large and complicated problems, the team must include a mathematician, a statistician, one or two engineers, an economist, computer programmer, psychologist, etc. Now we look into the characteristics of operations research. There are several characteristics. First one is decision making. Or is a decision science which helps management to make better decisions. Next one is use of information technology. Or often requires a computer to solve the complex mathematical model or to perform a large number of computations that are involved. Use of digital computer has become an integral part of the operations research approach to decision making. Next one is quantitative solution. Operations research provides the managers with a quantitative basis of decision making or attempts to provide a systematic and rational approach for quantitative solution to the various managerial problems. Next one is human factors. In deriving quantitative solution, we do not consider human factors, which doubtlessly plays a great role in the problems. So, study of the OR is incomplete without a study of human factors. Next one is system orientation. Or study the situation or problem as a whole. This means that an activity by any part of an organization has some effect on the activity of every other part. The optimum result of one part of a system may not be the optimum for some other part. Therefore, the evaluation, one must identify all possible attractions and determine their impact on the organization as a whole. Next one is scientific approach. OR uses scientific methods to solve problems. OR is an formalized process of reasoning. Under OR, the problem is to be analyzed and defined clearly. Observations are made under different conditions to study the behavior of the system. Next one is interdisciplinary team approach. OR is performed by a team of scientists whose individual members have been drawn from different scientific and engineering disciplines. Next one is uncovering new problems. Solution of an OR problem may uncover a number of new problems. In order to derive a maximum benefit, each one of them must be solved. OR is not effectively used if it is restricted to one-shot problems only. In order to derive full benefits, continuity of research must be maintained. Now we look into the scope of the operations research. OR has a wide scope in everyday life as it provides better solutions to various decision-making problems with great speed and competence. Scope of operations research in defense operations. Since the Second World War, operations research techniques have been used for defense operation with the objective of getting maximum gains with minimum effort. It has been used for coordinating various activities of Air Force, Army and Navy. Decisions regarding formulation and selection of strategies of the various available courses of action are taken by a team of scientists. Next, scope of operations research in planning for economic development. Careful planning is necessary for economic development of any country. Operations research is used to frame future economic and social policies. Next, scope of operations research in agriculture. Agriculture output needs to be increased due to increasing needs for sufficient quantity and quality of food for our increasing population. Problems of agriculture production under various restrictions such as optimum allocation of land to various crops in accordance with the climatic conditions, optimum distribution of water from various resources for irrigation purpose can easily solved by application of operations research techniques. Next, scope of operations research in industry. Nowadays, due to complexities of operations and huge size of industries, important decisions regarding various sections of the organization, for example, planning, procurement, management, finance, etc., have been taken division-wise. For example, the production department needs to minimize the cost of production but maximize output. The finance department needs to optimize capital investment. The personnel department needs to appoint competent workforce at minimum cost. The marketing department of any organization has to face various problems like product selection, formulation of competitive strategies, sales forecasting, distribution strategies, sales of advertising media with respect to cost and time, finding the optimal number of salesmen, finding optimum time to launch a product. All such problems can be overcome using operations research methods. Scope of operations research in research and development. OR helps in planning and control of new research and development projects. It also helps in planning the launch of new products. OR helps in solving many other problems faced by public as well as private sectors, such as the ones in economic and social planning, management of natural resources, energy, housing, pollution control, waiting lines and administrative problems, insurance policies, and many more. Now, types of operations research models. OR model is an idealized representation of real life situation and represents one or more aspects of reality. Objective of the model is to provide a means for analyzing the behavior of the system for improving its performance. Models can be classified on the basis of the factors. First one is by degree of abstraction, which involves mathematical models, language models. Next, by function, which involves descriptive models, predictive models, normative models for repetitive problems. Next, third one is by structure, which involves physical models, analog models, symbolic or mathematical models. Fourth one is by nature of environment, which involves deterministic models, probabilistic models. Fifth one is by the time horizon, which involves statistic models, dynamic models. Methodology of operations research. Quantitative basis of decision making is provided to managers by OR. It enhances a manager's ability to make long-range plans and to solve the routine problems of running an enterprise or concern. OR is a systematic and logical approach to provide a rational footing for taking decisions. Operations research, like scientific research, is based on scientific methodology which involves following steps. Step 1. Formulating the problem. OR is a research into the operations of a man-mission organization and must consider the economics of the operation in formulating a problem of OR study. Analysis must be made up of environment, objectives, decision maker. Step 2. Constructing a model to represent the system under study. Once the project is approved by the management, the next step is to construct a model for the system under study. The operation researcher can now construct the model to show the relations and interrelations between a cause and effect or between an action and a reaction. Now the aim of operation researcher is to develop a model which enables him to forecast the effect of factors crucial to the solution of given problem. The proposed model may be tested and modified in order to work under stated environmental constraints. A model may also be modified if the management is not satisfied by its preference. Step 3. Deriving solution from the model. A solution may be extracted from a model either by conducting experiments on it, that is, by simulation or by mathematical analysis. No model will work appropriately if the data is not appropriate. Such information may be available from the results of experiments or from cases based on experience. The data collection can clearly affect the model's output significantly. Operations researcher should not assume that once he has defined his objective and model, he has achieved his aim of the solution of problem. The required data collection consumes time to prepare if data collection errors are to be minimized. Step 4. Testing the model and the solution derived from it. As we point out earlier, a model is never a perfect representation of reality. But if properly formulated and correctly manipulated, it may be useful in providing or predicting the effect of changes in control variables on overall system effectiveness. The usefulness or utility of a model is checked by finding out how well it predicts the effect of these changes. Such an analysis is usually known as sensitive analysis. The utility or validity of the solution can be verified by comparing the results obtained without applying the solution with the results obtained when it is used. Step 5. Establishing controls over the solution. The next phase of operations researcher is to explain his findings to the management. It may be pointed out that he should specify those conditions under which the solution can be utilized. He should also point out weaknesses, if any, so that management will know what risks they are taking while employing the model to generate results. Thus, he should also specify the limits within which the results obtained from using the model are valid. He should also define those conditions under which the model will not work. Step 6. Implementation of the solution. The last phase of operations research methodology is implementation of solutions obtained in the previous steps. In operations research through decision making is scientific, but its implementation involves so many behavioral issues. Therefore, the implementing authority has to resolve the behavioral issues. Next, what are tools and techniques? The common frequently used tools or techniques are mathematical procedures, cost analysis, electronic computation. However, operations researchers given special importance to development and use of techniques like linear programming. This is constraint optimization technique which optimize some criterion within some constraints. In linear programming, the objective function and constraints are linear. There are different methods available to solve linear programming. Next one is game theory. This is used for making decisions under conflicting situations between one or more players or opponents. In this, the motive of the player are dichotomized. The success of one player tends to be at the cost of other players, and hence they are conflict. Decision theory. Decision theory is concerned with making decisions under conditions of complete certainty about the future outcomes and under conditions such that we can make some probability about what will happen in future. Next, queuing theory. This is used in situations where the queue is formed. The objective here is minimize the cost of waiting without increasing the cost of servicing. Next, inventory models. Inventory model make a decision that minimize total inventory cost. This model successfully reduces the total cost of purchasing, carrying, and out of stock inventory. Next, simulation. Simulation is a procedure that studies a problem by creating a model of process involved in the problem and then through a series of organized trials and error solutions attempt to determine the best solution. Sometimes this is a difficult or time consuming procedure. Simulation is used when actual experimentation is not feasible or solution of model is not possible. Next, non-linear programming. This is used when the objective function and the constraints are not linear in nature. Linear relationships may be applied to approximate non-linear constraints but limited to some range because approximation becomes poorer as the range is extended. Thus, the non-linear programming is used to determine the approximation in which a solution lies and then the solution is obtained using linear methods. Next, dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is a method of analyzing multi-stage decision processes. In this, each elementary decision depends on those preceding decisions and as well as external factors. Next, integer programming. If one or more variables of the problem take integral values only, then dynamic programming method is used. Next, Markov process. Markov process permits to predict changes over time. Information about the behavior of a time is known. This is used in decision making in situations where the various states are defined. The probability from one state to another state is known and depends on current state and is independent of how we have arrived at that particular state. Next, network scheduling. The technique is used extensively to plan, schedule, and monitor large projects. The aim of the technique is minimize trouble spots by identifying critical factors. The different activities and their relationships of the entire project are represented diagrammatically with the help of networks and arrows, which is used for identifying critical activities and path. There are two main types of techniques in network scheduling. There are PET, program evaluation and review technique, is used when activities time is not known accurately. Next, CPM, critical path method, is used when activities time is known accurately. Next, information theory. This analytical process is transferred from the electrical communication field to war field. The objective of this theory is to evaluate the effectiveness of flow of information with a given system. This is used mainly in communication networks, but also has indirect influence in simulating the examination of business organizational structure with a view of enhancing flow of information. Applications of operations research. Today, almost all fields of business and government utilizing the benefits of operations research. There are huge of applications of operations research who are used in accounting, such as assigning audit teams effectively, trade policy analysis, cash flow planning, developing standard costs, establishing costs for byproducts, planning of delinquent account strategy. Were also used in construction, such as project scheduling, monitoring, and control, determination of proper workforce, deployment of workforce, allocation of resources of projects. Next, were also used in facilities planning, such as factory location and size decision, estimation of number of facilities required, hospital planning, international logistics system design, transportation loading and unloading, warehouse location decision. Were also used in finance, such as building cash management models, allocating capital among various alternatives, building financial planning models, investment analysis, portfolio analysis, dividend policy making. Were also used in manufacturing, such as inventory control, marketing balance projection, production scheduling, production smoothing. Were also used in marketing, such as advertising budget allocation, product introducing timing, selection of product mix, deciding most effective packaging alternative. Were also used in organizational behavior or human resources, such as personal planning, recruitment of employees, skill balancing, training program scheduling, designing organizational structure more effectively. Were also used in purchasing, such as optimal buying, optimal reordering, materials transfer. And were also used in research and development, such as R&D projects control, R&D billing allocation, planning of product introduction. Next, limitations of operations research. Operations research has number of applications. Similarly, it has also certain limitations. These limitations are mostly related to the model building, money, and time factor problems involved in its applications. First limitation is distance between war specialist and manager. War researcher's job needs a mathematician or statistician who might not be aware of the business problems. Similarly, a manager is unable to understand the complex nature of operations research. Thus, there is a big gap between the two employees. Next limitation is magnitude of calculation. The aim of war is to find out optimum solution taking into consideration all the factors. In this modern world, these factors are enormous, and expressing them in quantitative model and establishing relationships among these require voluminous calculations which can be handled only by machines. Next limitation is money and time costs. The basic data are subjected to frequent changes. In incorporating these changes into the operations research model is very expensive. However, a fairly good solution at present may be more desirable than a perfect operations research solution available in future or after some time. Next limitation is non-quantifiable factors. When all the factors related to a problem can be quantifiable, only then operations research provides solution, otherwise not. The non-quantifiable factors are not incorporated in OR models. Importantly, OR models do not take into account emotional factors or qualitative factors. Next limitation is implementation. Once the decision has been taken, it should be implemented. The implementation of decisions is a delicate task. This task must take into account the complexities of human relations and behavior, and in sometimes only the psychological factors.